What up, fam? Welcome to Crunch Time. You know the drill. To the sharpest minds in the biz. Stevie, some folks were clamoring for you in chat. They said they want Stevie. Oh, me too, man. What's up? Now everybody's celebrating, but I wanted Eric. What up, Eric? Good to see you, man.
Hey, you know, everybody wants Stevie, and me and Roth want each other. So that's where we're at on the show. Yeah, you know, that's totally normal. I get it, but I'm excited to see Stevie too. I haven't seen Stevie in a little while. Twice in 2 weeks with Roth. I think we've met our quota, you know. So, but Stevie and I haven't been able to chat in a while, and we got some time and only 5 baseball games, so plenty of time to catch up here and get some baseball stuff going here on kind of a crazy little 5-gamer.
Yeah, small slate, early slate, but we're going to give you everything you need to know. We do have the aforementioned Stevie TPFL. That's Tampa, Florida, I think. And Stevie, I'm digging this hat. Is that a Milwaukee Brewers hat, or is it just some generic awesome beer hat?
It's an awesome minor league hat. Come on, man.
Okay.
You know, like my minor league baseball hat collection is way too expensive, and I have way too many of them. So I have no idea what team this is from. It's years old, but
who cares? It's amazing.
I found like 4 hats in my car the other day, and I was like, yeah, I gotta get them back in rotation of like doing shows. And I want you guys too. Like, you guys are my dudes. You know, Roth, it's good to see you. Eric, you said, it's been a while, and yeah, I mean, I love doing shows with you guys.
Well, can I ask a question?
Have me on. Yeah.
How do you lose 4 hats in your car?
You got kids.
I have kids. Yeah.
That's it.
It wasn't even necessarily like losing them. It was more of like, oh man, there's like books and toys and
buried under stuffed animals. And
I don't ever go in the back seat of my car either. Like we take my wife's car like everywhere with the kids. So like I hardly ever go in the back seat. And I just randomly cleaned it out the other day because I mean, you should do that, right?
Yeah, and there they were. Your hat collection rivals Grant's. You need the hat that Grant has that just says "nutted." that is my favorite hat of all time. When he wears that, I'm like, how do you get away with just wearing that? I love it. By the way, TJ in the chat, we're going to get to some baseball content momentarily. TJ in the chat says, "Roth sucks. We're beefing. We are beefing right now." I played basketball this morning because TJ and I are talking shit about who would win. And I tried to film myself and do like an and-1 mixtape. I just bricked every shot for like 10 minutes and gave up. So maybe tomorrow you will get an and-1 mixtape.
Can I take like any bet that you would beat TJ? No offense to TJ, but I've watched you play basketball before, and I'm sorry, TJ. I gotta lean Roth there.
He's got no shot, but that's fine. He doesn't know that, and it makes it more fun. Let's jump into what we're doing on this slate. There are no weather concerns, assuming Atlanta is not on the slate. And I'm assuming Atlanta's not on the slate because it's the only night game.
Correct.
Okay, good. If you are, for whatever reason, doing something with Atlanta later tonight, delay chances increase the later you go. And there is certainly a chance a storm pops even early, and then they never get back out there. Like, that could really happen. So we'll know more before lock. I'll update it, even though it's not on the main slate. But in case you're playing, the 1-gamers, I'll keep the forecast updated. TJ says, I surpass him in all skills as well as strength. Now he's just bullshitting and he knows it.
Definitely not true.
Yeah. Let's talk about what we're doing here. Eric, I want you to lead us off as you look at this slate. 5 games, 10 pitchers, I assume. Where are you looking pitcher-wise?
If you can play on a site that doesn't force you to play a pitcher, that would be ideal for this slate, because there is not one single comfortable click amongst all of these pitchers. But that's kind of fun sometimes. Like, you don't feel any like opportunity cost. Like, as you see on your screen, Gavin Williams is going to be, call it 50% owned on DraftKings. And look, I think Gavin Williams is near the top of the most talented pitchers on this slate, and the matchup is fine against the White Sox, but he has been quite bad. He's never really shown that talent at the major league level. And so far this year, he has not been very good, both from a strikeout perspective. He's only got into the 70s with his pitch count. The White Sox have been a little bit more of a thorn in the side of pitchers than people probably expected coming into the season. So I'm totally down to like take some shots on guys that we would not normally be playing. Just work my way a little bit down the pitcher list. I do like Michael Wacha in terms of like matchup and what is perceived safety on a slate with no safety. And then just like, Bailey Ober might be the most talented pitcher, but the matchup is not great. If you want to lean into that, like you can get funky and do stuff like play one of the Coors pitchers. I'm not like advocating for that to any degree, but it's just that bad. Like if you want to say, well, Quinn Priester was a first round pick once upon a time and the Rockies suck, get me 14 points and that's enough. Like, I just think you can go just about anywhere at pitcher, and I'm going to specifically be underweight Gavin Williams because there just is no real reason to play one guy who's going to be 50 or 60% when they're all just frankly terrible.
Yeah, no use getting in on the chalk when the chalk isn't safe or good. Stevie, what's your plan here as you look at these pitchers?
Yeah, I mean, it is really, really ugly in the pitching department today. Soriano at the top has strikeout ability. He struggles a lot more against lefties, and he struggles with command. Good for him that like there's enough right-handed hitters in this lineup today that you could take some shots on him. Like Eric said, though, you don't feel comfortable clicking any of these names today. So it's not like we even have, excuse me, an extreme like pitcher's umpire or anything like that. Like there's nothing. I think the highest strikeout prop today is like 5.5 for Gavin Williams and Chris Bassett. So it's not like you feel like you're leaving a lot. I think if you can get like a combined 30 points on DraftKings from your two pitchers, you feel really good today. So like Bassett is someone that's interesting against my Red Sox. He has 15 pitches. He like legitimately has like 8 pitches, but he throws enough and he mixes it up enough where he generates ground balls against lefties and righties with his sinker. He has a cutter that I don't know if he has like a new grip on his cutter or something, but it's generating a lot more whiffs through his first 2 starts and through spring training this year. So he's really interesting in the aspect of he might have found something with his cutter where it's generating more strikeouts. It's a put away pitch now. It's not just generating ground balls. So I think it's really interesting for Bassett, but you don't feel good about it. You don't feel good about taking him in Fenway against the Red Sox, but what he's found with his cutter makes him a little bit more interesting. He throws a sinker, he generates ground balls. I mean, when you're generating ground balls with a sinker and cutter on this slate, you're in play. Yeah. Gavin Williams is very uncomfortable because he had an incredible spring training and he's looked awful through his first 2 starts and he hasn't faced a good pitcher or a good offense yet. Michael Wacha against Minnesota, there's a lot of strikeouts in that lineup. So what I'm doing is more of like, I'm eliminating some pitchers. I'm not playing Bailey Ober. I'm not playing Walker Buehler. Buehler's looked atrocious. I'm not playing a guy like Feltner. I will take some shots on Quinn Priester today. He's really cheap. There's a lot of bats we like on this slate. And he's a ground ball guy in Coors, and the Rockies don't have a lot of power in the lineup. So I could see Quinn Priester just going out and throwing like 5 innings, giving up a couple runs, picking up a couple strikeouts, and scoring like 13 points and at 6,500 on this slate. I'm like, all right, I'll take that. Mm-hmm. And then Jonathan Cannon is not someone that I would even remotely play on any slate but this one, but he's a ground ball pitcher. And the bottom half of the Cleveland lineup is really bad. There's Nolan Jones, Noel, Naylor, like these guys strike out at 28+% against right-handed pitching. So a guy like Cannon, who you would typically be stacking against, you have some interest in him because 1, he can get ground balls, and 2, like he's slightly below average strikeout pitcher. So it's just one of those days where you really want to mix up your pitching. You hope you get the right combo, and you really hope you get 30 points.
Yeah. Okay. Combined.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Like if there's a pitcher that goes out and scores 30 by themselves today, I'll be shocked. Like there's slates where we have guys where there's like 5 or 6 guys, but yeah.
Yeah. So we are getting like some FanDuel cash. I know there is no safe option. There is no good one, but in cash, Steve, if you got to pick one of these dudes, do you have a lean? Is there a guy?
I think in cash, you just play Gavin Williams because everybody else is going to, and you just kind of,
take the block.
Try to eliminate the pitcher position in cash. Personally, I wouldn't play cash on the slate. I don't typically play cash for baseball anyway, but if you're a cash player and that's what you do, I think you just kind of eliminate the pitcher slot. And I think Gavin Williams, who's your chalky pitcher, will be the chalky cash pitcher. And I think you're okay with just going, hey, if 60% have Gavin Williams, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Let's talk about the bats and the stacks. And Eric, I'm going to let you lead us off there as well. If we don't really love any of the pitchers, I'm hoping that we do love some of these bats.
We love all the bats. And that's enough.
Yeah.
It's like this funky slate where if we hate every single pitcher, and I don't want to play the mega chalk pitchers in tournaments, like there's a question about, FanDuel tournaments, like move down. Bassett is my like SP1 on the slate from a tournament perspective. Like Stevie said, I don't know if this is real. Who knows? He's 36 years old. If he like revolutionized his game at 36, that would be pretty shocking. But he also just like, he can go out and throw 110 pitches today. And we're just searching for something like at just any reasonable score at starting pitcher today. So I like that. So I'm probably not going to target the Red Sox for me because I'm going to play Bassett, but I can play honestly any of these offenses, like any of them. So the same thing as the pitcher, when I don't necessarily want to lean into Gavin Williams when he's not any better than the lower owned guys, the Coors is awesome, right? And there's no denying that. But if we're saying all these pitchers suck, sign me up for some of the stacks and the hitters that are just a little bit lower owned. The first thing I saw this morning when I started to pull up this slate was your weather report, and the Rays and Angels game kind of pops out there. Obviously we have Coors, but the temperature there and that ballpark is pretty solid for hitting.
Degrees. Yeah.
And I don't think either of those two offenses are like jumping off the page to anyone. We've been targeting like Bassett with lefties. You may see a sprinkle of, the lefties from Boston. We'll see, of course, like a ton of Coors. We'll see, a sprinkle of Indians because Jonathan Cannon is just a pitcher we've targeted, forever. But I think that's the game to me that I get the weather, I get a good park. The Angels have been shockingly good. I'm not sure Kyron Paris is this superstar that he's playing like right now, but I'm willing to ride it out if possibly it's real at this cheap price across both sites. The Rays have a couple of guys I think that are super appealing for tournaments. Jonathan Aranda I tagged in lineup HQ, and I mean, speaking of Paris, Aranda is just destroying right-handed pitching so far this season. Brandon Lau is doing the same thing. There's just like a bunch of upside in that game specifically that it really popped out with, again, the weather and the park. And then nobody wants that. I mean, Mike Trout's going to be 5% against the righty who can't get a swing and miss and throws sinkers. Like that seems pretty good. Jorge Soler can hit 2 home runs. There's just so many upside bats in that game. It's the one for tournaments that really popped off the screen. And I know we'll talk about Coors plenty, but that one seemed really good for tournaments.
Okay. Some very good notes there. Stevie, what are you doing stack wise?
No, I mean, I think Milwaukee is the top stack. I don't think anyone can really argue that outside of ownership. And we'll talk more about it when we start talking about the bats that we like. Outside of that, I love the Rays call because Soriano is going to get some ownership because he has strikeout ability. But his command is really shaky. It's beautiful in Florida right now. It's like 75 degrees, 80 degrees.
Must be nice. Must be nice.
Listen, yeah, well. And like they have hitters like Brandon Lau is off to a really strong start. Some of these young kids that they've called up are just all hitting. They can run. So yeah, I mean, I like the Tampa contrarian stack. And then I know everybody loves the word leverage, but you're getting leverage off of, the pitcher that is going to be 25 to 30% owned on a stack that's going to be really low owned. So I like that a lot. I mean, Colorado side, they're not a good offense. You really hate the idea of just clicking their names, but Quinn Priester has been awful so far. I talked about potentially playing him, but I mean, I don't mind stacking against him. But realistically, I think on this 5-game slate, you could stack all 10 teams and feel pretty good about where you're at stack-wise. So I think if you're playing 150 today, you're probably getting exposure to all 10 teams and you're getting exposure to every pitcher except for maybe Walker Buehler. Walker Buehler has been atrocious. I'm a Red Sox fan. I watch a lot of Red Sox games and I don't know if he's missed a bat like at all. I think his swinging strike rate's like 9% or something. It's really, really low. He's looked really bad. He just throws the ball in there and it gets hit a lot. So he's the one guy that I just wouldn't play.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Shout out to Alex in the YouTube chat who says, hey, smash it, y'all. They're here for the people. And by smash it, he's talking about that like button. If we get 50 likes, you get a Spidey bomb from TJ. And my guy TJ said he actually has a home run pick that he absolutely loves today. So make sure we get at least 50 likes. Should be a lot more than that. I'm thinking a couple hundo, but at least 50. We want to go around the horn, talk position by position. But before I do that, I want to make sure you're getting the best deal in the industry. We know the battle for the green jacket heating up in Augusta, and there is no better place to sweat the action than DraftKings Daily Fantasy, the ultimate destination for fantasy golf fans. For the year's first major, DK, giving all customers a shot to play free for the $1 million top prize with your next $10 deposit on the DK Daily Fantasy app. RotoGrinders also giving you Lineup HQ for PGA for free all week. That includes single entry stuff. All you have to do is sign up, create a RotoGrinders account, which is also free. Link in the description. A quick side note, don't do what I play like maybe $1 to $5 a day in DFS. Like, I'm not here trying to make money. I just do it so that I know what's happening. I enjoy it. I entered 30 or 40 bucks in the Masters. So I was like, yeah, we're going to have a big one. So last night I registered all these contests. I was stoked. And then I woke up this morning and I missed my chance. I didn't realize these guys teed off at like 7 in the morning. So don't do that. If you sign up, make sure you actually put players in. You have a better chance of winning that way, is what I hear. With that, let's go around the horn. Let's talk position by position. Stevie, what do we do in a catcher?
Yeah, I mean, going to that Tampa LA game, Ohapi, I think, has a huge ceiling against a guy like Littell in a game that just seems to be under own. Salvador Perez, if you want to pay up for him against Ober, I don't mind that. Outside of that, I mean, going down a little bit, I think Kirk is going to get a lot of ownership against Bueller. I like Kirk in this spot. I think it's a really good spot for him. He's really cheap. He should be catching here. Outside, I mean, maybe like a punt with like a Bo Naylor against Cannon. Passes against Williams because Williams is going to be so popular and he's batting fourth today. But outside of that, I mean, Contreras might not catch today, day game after night game. He might DH still, though. But if Eric Hosse's in there, catcher with some pop, don't mind that. We don't have that Milwaukee lineup yet.
Okay. Eric, anything you want to add at catcher?
No, Ohapi is, I think, my favorite tournament play. I mean, if he is anything sub 10%, he's not quite as good of a hitter as Contreras, but certainly the second best hitting catcher on this slate, in a pretty good spot. So I like that. Salary is not really an issue. I guess that's probably notable for all of these hitting positions. Like, there's no expensive pitchers to play. I guess Bassett is 10K on FanDuel, so maybe you feel a little pinch, but pricing is much looser on FanDuel anyway. So the lazy simple answer is include the catcher in your stack. But I also like just like hunt for a low owned bomb here at catcher, right? Like, if you're not playing Gavin Williams, play the catcher against Gavin Williams. If he hits the 3-run home run that knocks down the chalk, Gavin Williams, cool. I don't have, like, other than Ohapi or of course William Contreras, nobody like stands out. So like kind of strategically figuring out where to put your catcher in, I think makes a ton of sense.
Okay. How about first base, Eric?
When did first base become a terrible DFS position? I remember the days of it was like, well, we got to punt second base and shortstop and stuff to get, the superstar first baseman. And now there's like never a first baseman I have a theory. Want to play.
It happened when, like, it used to be there was just some big body dude who just used to mash, like a Prince Fielder type. And those dudes would be at first, or a David Ortiz type body, yep. Right? And now the game is trending to like these crazy freak athletes like Julio Rodriguez, like all of these guys who can field and hit, and those are just the best dudes. And now they're too damn athletic to hide at first. So these dudes are now playing it like short or in the outfield. That is my theory. It happened over the last like 3 or 4 years, but it's a big change.
All the best players now don't play the corner infield spots,
right?
Which is where we used to get all of our. So it's like the discount shopping spot for these teams, right? They don't spend on those positions. Yep. It's very bizarre. So there also is not a first baseman for me that stands out a ton. I mentioned Jonathan Aranda for the Rays. He's who I tagged. He's just go look up Jonathan Aranda's number. He's a good hitter. First of all, against right-handed pitching specifically, he's left-handed. There was a question about pinch hit risk. Yes, him and the Rays always the lefties are going to have a little bit of pinch hit risk. They have 2 righties and a switch hitter, I believe, on the bench. So that's something to be a little bit worried about. But Aranda has been arguably on this list in front of you the best hitter so far this season at the position. I like the spot. I like the leverage that Stevie mentioned. So he really stands out to me. Of course, you have the Coors guys. I actually do I should say I do like the Rockies, specifically the lefties. Like Taglia is terrible. He's a really bad baseball player, but he can hit a home run. He might hit, even though he's going to strike out like 40% of the time, he might hit 25 home runs this year. So he makes a ton of sense against Priester, I think, who has a talent pedigree and has never shown it at all at the Major League Baseball level because his fastball is like BP. He just throws a straight pin fastball that just gets crushed by lefties. So the Rockies lefties, I think, are particularly interesting. And then we mentioned, that Rays Angels game. I don't like Shanuel or however you say his name because he's the opposite. He's like a decent hitter, but he's going to have like 100 ISO. He's just never going to hit home runs. Yandy Diaz on the other side, right, projects near the top of first base, and nobody wants to play that dude. Absolutely nobody wants to play him. So it's another position. I think if you want to play into some chalk, right, with your Churios or Yelich's or whoever, like you can get off the beaten path at catcher, first base, because it's like pitcher. There's nobody that really stands out.
Okay, good stuff. Stevie, your thoughts at first?
Yeah, I mean, I think Vlad has a ton of upside in this matchup, probably one of the higher ceilings. Again, Buehler just can't get anybody out. Manzardo against Cannon, Bascantino against Ober. I mean, all those guys, if you want to pay up for them, I think they make a lot of sense. So really quick, not to we have plenty of time, but one thing that I've noticed, through the first couple starts this season for Michael Wacha is he's throwing a lot of fastballs to righties and he's getting barreled like 15% of the time. Typically, Michael Wacha uses his sinker to get right-handed hitters out, and his command with it is just awful. He's leaving it like over the plate a ton. So if you're looking for like a punt, like cheaper first baseman, I think this is an excellent spot for Ty France. He's a ground ball hitter against a fly ball pitcher, big barrel rate for both of these guys. So I think if you want to chase like a home run for really cheap, Ty France would be that like cheap home run chase.
Okay, good stuff. How about second base?
Yeah, I mean, second base continues to be the position that we look to save money, and Kyron Paris is making it very easy for us over the last week. I mean, he hasn't stopped hitting. So yeah, I mean, he's your really chalky scoring 20 fantasy points a game type of second baseman right now. He has a ton of power. He has a ton of speed. Outside of that, I mean, I think you're paying up for like a Terang or a Brandon Lau. You could play Bregman at second base on DraftKings, but I definitely like lefties against Bassett more than righties. Those are the 3 guys that I really kind of built around my lineups today. Lau, Terang, and Paris.
Yeah. Okay. Eric, your thoughts at second, please.
Just add a couple. Stevie mentioned Vlad at first. I mean, Walker Buehler. He's talking about Wacha having some difficulties. Yeah, the Walker Buehler. The days of us thinking about Walker Buehler as like a high-end pitcher, MIB flashy thingy to your memories of Walker Buehler, because he's a gas can. Like he's a straight guy you should target with hitters and never ever play in DFS. Andres Jimenez for the Blue Jays is probably, outside of my pet Angels game, is probably the guy at second base for me. He's also just like a good hitter. He has like this interesting like 20 to 25 home run power, but also like 20 stolen base power or speed on the base paths. And so, if Buehler's going to let him get on base, you're in Fenway, got a nice little short porch out there and right. I think he makes for a really good tournament play if we're going to play Kyle Farmer over one of these guys. Like, I know Coors is great, but $5,600 Bryce Terang and Kyle Farmer, like give me one of the good hitters who are also in really good spots. Brandon Lau, we talked about, like there's good hitters here that you can play. So those I want to target the actual good baseball players, not the guys who just happen to be hitting in cores.
Yeah, love it. Okay, how about third base, Eric?
Let's see, third base, a little more fun. We're progressing a little bit. Ryan McMahon, unsurprisingly, the highest owned third baseman. Price has also come down from what we've usually seen from him at Coors Field because he's off to a slow start. But again, Priester, if you're gonna target Priester, I think I would do it with the left-handed bats from the Rockies, and he's the best one that they have. Willie Castro, I think the ownership for Willie Castro is he's dual eligible between second and third. Jose Ramirez is for sure my top third baseman on this slate against Cannon. Cleveland is an interesting park where lefties in Cleveland are like kind of a thing. They have a little bit more short porch out there in right field. And if you've ever watched I almost just said Indians, a Guardians game, at the left field fence is deep and like damn near the green monster out there. And so these lefties get this nice little porch. It's kind of like Houston. There's this nice little short porch out there. And Jose Ramirez has been awesome. He just hit 3 home runs the other night in a game. He could steal, he could hit 2 home runs and steal 2 bases. And there's just like not a lot of guys on a slate of only 5 games that can come out and do that kind of a thing. And I mentioned the salary is just really not an issue. If you don't buy the Chris Bassett kind of 36-year-old breakout season, Rafael Devers has remembered how to hit in the last week or so. He came out really, really terrible. And despite that horrible start, his numbers look great because that's how good he's been he had another 2 doubles last night, I think. So Devers looks pretty locked in, and I don't think he's going to get a ton of ownership either. I think that's mostly about it. Stevie, I'm curious what you think about this. Miguel Vargas was a dude who, when he was on the Dodgers, it was like if he was in the lineup, he'd always be like 3K or like 2,800 or something. He made your Dodger stack work. He crushed in the minors. He just always hit in the minors, and he hasn't hit for shit in the majors. But I always like see him down around $3,000 in a good spot, and I'm like, maybe this will be the time he remembers how to hit. But again, with the leverage, I think he's at least like in play in my player pool.
I mean, to talk on Vargas, he needs a torpedo bat. I don't know if he's switched yet, but I mean, the dude, he just can't barrel a baseball. His barrel rate is like extremely low, and he's like a good line drive, like fly ball hitter. So I mean, just that's what he needs, right? He just needs one of those torpedo bats. It's helped Volpe. I mean, Volpe has the same issue.
Sounds like Volpe, right?
Yeah. So, we're on third base, right?
We are. Yep.
Obviously, Jose Ramirez against Cannon is great. Like the Devers call against Bassett, like he cares again. So that's great. I mean, McMahon, I think, is your clear like chalk third base play type of play here. Willie Castro against Waka, if you're like leaning on that little bit of Minnesota stack. Who's that Pokemon? It's Volpe. Yeah, I mean, listen,
it's Volpe.
Yeah. Good job, Steve. You said Pokemon, and it's completely distracted me. I do love the Pokemons. Yeah, I mean, third base, McMahon is like my highest owned third baseman. I have a little bit of Ramirez, and then I want to play a little bit of Will Wagner at third base. Like I'm gonna stack Toronto, so I'll probably play Wagner over Clement. I mean, it's not really like a hot take, but if you're not like wanting to play like Springer, I think Wagner has like the most upside in that 5-man stack over Clement. So that's kind of where I'm leaning in my Toronto stack, is playing a little bit of Wagner.
Okay, let's go to short, Stevie.
The best position in baseball. I mean, Bobby Witt as much as possible against Bailey Ober, just because Bobby Witt is Bobby Witt and he's incredible. And Bailey Ober, I mean, Bailey Ober projects to be an above average strikeout pitcher. He is really struggling so far this season, and it's 2 starts. We don't want to like get excited about like 2 starts. He played against St. Louis and Houston, so like those are beatable lineups. It's a command issue. Like this is a guy that walked like 6% of hitters last season. If you pull up his like Baseball Savant page, you see that like he's just missing. He's missing in wrong spots. If you miss against a guy like Bobby Witt, he'll make you pay for it. So I mean, Bobby Witt, really high up on the list. Bo Bichette, really high up on the list. He should lead off against Walker Buehler. Buehler stinks. So those are the two guys that I'm playing on, I think, every single one in my lineup. Hold on. Yeah, I mean, those are the two guys I'm playing. I have Witt or Bichette on every team that I built this morning. I mean, we could obviously talk about Carlos Correa against Waka, like I was saying with Ty France. Waka typically uses a sinker to generate ground balls, but he's throwing a lot of fastballs because the sinker is just not working. So I don't think you want to get cute at shortstop. We've talked about a lot of value plays in other positions. I think shortstop is where you want to pay up for these guys.
Yeah, play the best dudes. Eric, what's your plan at short?
The same as Stevie. I'm prioritizing the like superstar hitters at the top. Though Bichette hasn't quite been a superstar for the last couple of seasons, but I believe it's still in there, and he's been hitting the ball pretty well. So the results haven't been perfect so far, but the batted ball data looks pretty good for Bo Bichette. I'll just toss Jose Caballero in there, getting the start for the Rays at short after hitting a grand slam last night off of Kikuchi. He's like, it's hard to describe him. He's like a really like on most slates you would never ever play Jose Caballero, even like last night, because he's like he's speed guy. He's definitely going to steal bases, and he's actually a pretty good hitter, but it's like total boring, like 100 ISO hitter. So at shortstop, right, where there's all these superstars, Gunnar Henderson and Ellie De La Cruz and Lindor and all that, it's hard to justify him. But on this slate, if all you're foregoing really is Witt and Bichette, I think in a Rays stack, he makes some sense because, again, he could steal two bases. The weather's great in that game, and Soriano's going to be a little bit popular. So he's really the only other guy at the position.
Okay, well said. Let's go to the outfield. Eric, you can lead us off there.
An actual good position. I mean, outfield is just always loaded, but in particular today it is. Stevie mentioned, it just stuck with me when he was talking about it. As he
was that a Pokemon card that you had there?
It was. They were talking about evolutions, and the best evolution is Leafeon, man.
Look at that, Stevie, ready with the Pokemon cards.
He has Pokemon cards sitting next to him,
just standing by. You never know when a Pokemon game is going to break out.
Yeah, I mean, no, listen, this is my stack right here. You want to see, like, this is one of my favorite cards, baseball and Pokemon. One of my favorite cards,
Rainbow Charizard. Oh, Rainbow Charizard. Oh,
yeah,
bro, it's huge.
Yeah,
I know nothing about them, but I approve.
Don't worry, I play baseball cards. I just don't have them in the office. They're in safekeeping. I need Vlad to like just go insane because like during COVID, I bought so many Vlad like rookie cards. Like, yeah. And like Paul Goldschmidt, when Paul Goldschmidt retires and like his price, I have like 4 1-of-1 Paul Goldschmidt cards that like, so when he makes the Hall of Fame or something, I'm going to sell all of them. So.
The card world is wild to me. Like I can't keep anything in my home without losing it or breaking it. Like I just couldn't be trusted to hold on to something with that much value, like something physical. But good for you, Stevie.
Well, I mean, the stack that I have in the office right now, like, is a stack that I have waiting to go to PSA. So there you go.
Oh, man, you're deep in that life. Okay, Eric, what are we doing in the outfield?
I will just say I respect it. Stevie, I was huge into Pokemon when I was younger and sold as a dumb young kid tends to do. You know, I sold because I wanted, I think it was a PS3 back then. Was it the PS3 that came out and it was like, you know, this is like the 90s or something, and it was $600, you know, and as a young kid, you're like that, you know, the video game systems used to be 200 or whatever.
Right.
And PlayStation was like, you know, go F yourself. Here's a 600. And I was like, I can't afford this, but I got these Pokemon cards. And I like both am proud of myself and hate myself every single day.
Do you want to hear something like way worse than that? Yeah. So when I was a kid, like, so my grandmother, when I played baseball, she would take me to the card shop and I bought first edition Pokemon cards. Like that's the age we are. Right.
Yep.
And I probably had 9 first edition holo Charizards, and like probably 5 to 10 first edition, like holo sets and everything. And my dad's garage during a hurricane had a flood from a tree hitting it. I lost all of them in the flood. Like and like, you know how much they're worth now.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So that's my, oh God. It, like, you see the tears? Like, you could buy a house. Like, you could legitly buy a house with that stuff. So, true story. My dad will talk about it to people all the time. And yeah, I mean,
You had gold in that garage. For what it's worth, TJ.
It should never been in the garage, but yeah.
Yeah. TJ says he did the same thing. He sold the Pokemon for like the PS3 and the Xbox 360.
You just don't have this kind of foresight when you're.
I still have a PS3 in my office hooked up to my office TV, and I'll play a couple like Final Fantasy VII every once in a while, like going back and playing some of those games. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Did we do outfield yet, or did we get distracted?
No. We got distracted.
Yeah.
We definitely got.
We had time.
Play Charizard in the outfield.
Is
what we learned. Yeah, outfield has some of the chalkier guys, but also the best plays. Zach Veen is up there in terms of ownership because he's cheap. But if I'm leaning away from some of the chalkier guys, he, tops out. In terms of maybe let's avoid that. He's fine. Like he's a fine young hitter, but I if I'm going to play into the chalk, like, give me Jackson Churio and Yelich and those guys in Coors Field, as opposed to this, like really like maybe not even good, maybe not even a Major League Baseball player in terms of hitting talent, chalk guy on this slate when all the pitchers are bad. Brenton Doyle for the Rockies. I prefer the lefties for the Rockies, but Doyle can hit a home run and steal a base in any single game. He's a really high upside bat. Like, it is just always funny on these slates to see like Nick Martini at the top of ownership. Like, if all the pitchers stink, I just don't want to play bad hitters. Yeah. And so, like, you see Mike Trout, right? Jorge Soler, like, Jarren Duran, like all of those guys. Wilyer Abreu, I know he didn't have as good of a game last night, but is off to like Barry Bonds level start to this season. Draws that Bassett matchup that we like Bassett, but if he kind of reverts back to what he was last year against lefties, Wilyer Abreu could easily, score 25 fantasy points in this game. There's a lot of outfield options and a lot of really good ones. So same thing. If I'm not stacking the Brewers, I don't want to default to like maybe some bad hitters. I want to play the Mike Trouts and the Abreus and the Durans and those guys on this slate, because we have a lot of good hitters, like really, really good players in good matchups. So like, that's kind of what I'm defaulting to if I get away from those top end Brewers.
Yep. Okay. Love it. Stevie, your thoughts on the outfield?
Okay. So listen, we don't have to tell you to play the Milwaukee outfielders. They're fantastic. Play them. What I will say is Mike Trout's a massive fly ball guy. Zach Littell has a 170 BABIP against right-handed hitters this year. His advanced stats say that there's a lot of regression coming against righties. Mike Trout's projecting for a third of the ownership, and he's one of the best in baseball when healthy. The other name you do not want to forget about, because the lineup's not out. It's 18 minutes to lock. Santander is in an incredible spot today against Buehler, so make sure you're playing him. He's one of the top outfielders. Mitchell in that Milwaukee outfield with some of the guys out today has moved up to 5th in the lineup. Big bat. He's going to eventually get it going. He got hurt, I think it was 2 years ago, and he's just slowly coming back. When he starts hitting again, if he starts hitting again, he'll hit in bunches. So I like Mitchell, big talent guy, big prospect. I mean, we talked about Paris. He's cheap going up against Littell. You can play him at second base or outfield. The Toronto bats, the Rays bats, like we talked about with the Rays, like these guys have speed, so they can get you stolen bases as well. It's like playing PCA from the Cubs. He's not probably going to hit a home run, but he could steal 3 bases and score just as much at a fraction of the price. So you have to look at those guys. I like the Abreu call. Duran is always someone I like to play. But yeah, I mean, you got guys like Wallner against Waka. If Waka's still command issues, a guy like Wallner who strikes out a ton has a lot of upside against a guy that's having command issues, because all it takes is one pitch over the plate against these guys that have a lot of power, and they can make it up at one bat.
Yeah. Okay. Let's give the people a couple home run calls, and then we'll answer any questions and we'll bounce out of here. Stevie, I'm going to put you on the list first. Something kind of top end and then something sneakier for me.
I mean, my favorite home run today is Santander against Buehler. I absolutely love this spot for him today. I try not to pick a lot of Coors bats when we do this, so I'll go Santander. let's go Bo Bichette in that same game to hit a home run. And then my off the radar, like home run call. I talked about this a lot when we were breaking down the position. I bet this. I think it was like plus 750 for a home run. Give me Ty France. This is just a guy that profile wise, I love these types of guys where you have these like random, really good like profile spots, and like Ty France just profiles really, really good in this spot. So I'm going to stick to the data on this one and take a home run shot on him.
Okay, Eric, you got a few names for me?
Yeah, my number one is really off the radar, Mike Trout. Big fan of Mike. Big fan of Mike Trout.
Weird when
today.
we say that.
It's crazy. Low owned Mike Trout in a great spot. I put in the expert survey that my hot taker or whatever it was Mike Trout hits 2 home runs today, not just one. Also, the odds on specifically him and Jorge Soler have just like plummeted this morning. It's like the Masters people, like Stevie was saying, you're before we started, your golfer got off to a bad start, and people are like, well, I guess I got to bet somebody made a home run now to make up for my Masters, and everybody went on Trout and Soler. They just
hey, my guy got a birdie a few minutes ago. We're moving on up.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mike Trout. I guess we also clearly like the Blue Jays and the corpse of Walker Buehler, because Andres Gimenez, second baseman, who I talked about at that position, I think is a nice little sneaky home run spot. And then another second baseman, but you can also play him at first base. I think he's first base on DraftKings and first and second on FanDuel. Jonathan Aranda against Soriano in that park, in that weather. And like I said, this dude just rakes. Like he can just hit against right-handed pitching. And I think I saw he's like plus 600, 650 or something in the home run department. So I like him also.
Very good. We'll see if we've got any questions.
I'm very happy with Volpe as a cheap.
Who's that Pokemon? It's
Volpe.
That's the best thing that's ever happened.
How did that happen so quickly? That was amazing.
It's possible that Steve needs another hobby. I'm not totally sure, but that was fantastic.
It's so good. I don't know why we decided that Volpe is a Pokemon name, but it just fits so beautifully. Good job, Steve. I'm glad you found that, man. Let's see.
What would be great? Can we just talk about like if Pokemon is watching the show? They should be, because we're incredible. But they come out with like a torpedo style like Pokemon for the next generation of Pokemon named Volpe. Like, come on! Like,
it matches. It makes too much sense. Synergy. You guys didn't mention him at third, but is Garcia okay in Kansas City stacks, Eric?
Yeah, he's a weird hitter. Sometimes like last year end of season results looked like there was 0 power, and then he goes on stretches where he hits like 4 home runs in a week or something, and he's hit a few this year already. Stolen base, yeah. If you can't afford the Ramirez's and Devers and stuff, he can hit a home run and steal a base today for sure.
Okay. That was actually the only. Oh, apparently there's a Pokemon named Vulpix, which is maybe why that name just seems to fit so well with Pokemon. Hey, guess what? We answered all the questions. I think we're going to bounce on out of here. We did the things we came to do. So for Stevie and for Eric and for our wonderful production crew, always working extra hard behind the scenes, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you later on today. You have been crunched.